All right. Good morning, everybody. You made it to Tuesday. Congratulations. You're alive. Look, check. Just pinch yourself or something. Make sure you're there. All right. It's all happening. This morning, we have lots of cool stuff to talk to you about and plenty of cool people to talk to. And we're not going to waste a single second. Let me introduce you to somebody who's on the screen at the moment. And she is also on the podcast with us this morning. Her name is Naledi. And Naledi M, she is a huge YouTuber with over 7 million views on YouTube. And she's got over 100,000 subscribers. Look at you, killing it on YouTube. Congratulations. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that girl sounds amazing. I was almost like in disbelief. That's me. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm actually so excited to be on the show.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on. So is Mbulelo, who was also here as usual this morning. Mbulelo is also the host of Cliff Central Sports Show, the MKT show, which you can catch every day live on this channel. And, well, it's got its own channel. You need to subscribe to that. But he is basically on Cliff Central 2 as a podcast. And that show is going upwards and onwards in leaps and bounds. So make sure you don't miss out on what he's up to as well. So, Naledi, very nice to talk to you. How many like really successful YouTubers like you are there in South Africa? Can't be that many in South Africa. I mean, you're right up, but you're right up there at the top. I mean, that must have been a lot of hard work to get there, and you must be doing some really, really interesting stuff for people to have joined up 100,000 subscribers in your channel, 7 million views. That's not messing around. You're taking it quite seriously. You do lifestyle and beauty stuff, right? Mostly.
Yes. So essentially, there's quite a lot of people now, I guess, in the space who are kind of dominating the industry. Obviously, not within the 100,000 subscriber count, but sure. I think what helped me is that I branched away from what I was used to. So that being beauty, because honestly, that's really not where my strength lies. I talk a lot and a lot of people think I'm funny. I don't even know why they think I'm funny. I don't even think I'm that funny. But 103,000 people seem to think I'm really funny. So I think I kind of branched away from that. And one of the things that I also focused on was mukbangs. I don't know if you've ever heard of mukbangs before.
Now, we've spoken about this, but I've already forgotten what mukbangs are. But just quickly, is beauty a bit too crowded? Are there too many people doing that stuff at the moment?
Yes. And I think people are doing that stuff because it's the easy way out. It's like what our parents always said to us when we wanted to do marketing in varsity. And they'd be like, no, why don't you go be a doctor or a lawyer? Yeah. So it's one of those things. I did marketing, guys. I did marketing. I'm dissing myself right now.
Right.
But, yeah, it's one of those things where it was getting really saturated. And I think as South Africans, we're very scared to take the leap. So we do what looks cool and looks really trendy in the moment. So
and there's like, if you're at the top of the beauty tree on YouTube, you can make a huge amount of money. I mean, we've spoken about these international people who are just extraordinarily successful. Look, they end up in all kinds of controversies and fights because that's part of the personality. But they also can make a ton of money. I mean, Leanne was telling us about this. What's the dude's name? There, these two really something Charles and
James Charles
and another dude as well. And the two of them are always like at each other's throats, but they're both at the pinnacle of kind of YouTube beauty, and everybody watches their stuff.
Definitely. I'm one of those, everybody. You can make a lot of money on the YouTube space. And I think what people are picking up on now is that if you have that big of a crowd, that large of a crowd, you need to understand that YouTube requires more than just Instagram and pictures. It's like living in real time with people, obviously not in real time. But people get to build that relationship with you when they get to see who you really are. So what I like about James Charles is that he mixes makeup with persona. I can't just watch makeup tutorials anymore. So yes, he makes millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Amazing. All right, so now you're doing more of this mukbang, which is like I remember Michael Flax told us about it. It's like you watch people eat. Markle Flex.
mark of that. Yeah.
You watch people eat and you listen to the sounds of their eat. And for some people, this is the most interesting thing in the whole universe. And they just love it. It's, if you bite into a toasted cheese sandwich, for some people, this is the most exciting thing ever. It's this ASMR thing, right? Is that a good definition?
Yes. So let me not like mess it up for everyone, but ASMR stands for, if I'm not mistaken, auto sensory mirror something reactory system. I don't know really what it is, but essentially what happens is ASMR, or the term mukbangs, actually started in the Asian culture. Now, I used to watch that when I couldn't fall asleep. I had a really difficult time with insomnia, and I would stay up on YouTube. And then I found these videos of people eating, and the sounds literally put me to sleep. So they literally put me to sleep. I would wake up having realized that I literally fell asleep on the YouTube app. So I realized that in the South African market, people are not really doing that. And I find myself watching international YouTubers. So I decided, I'm going to do it. I'm gonna eat on camera. I'm going to make people fall asleep. I can do it. It's easy.
It's like the opposite. It's like the opposite of why I got into media. I was like, for God's sake, if you're putting people to sleep, then they're going to crash their cars in traffic. I can't afford to do. So you're telling me you're doing the opposite of that. By the way, here's a look at Naledi's channel, which is looking amazing.
Which is eating.
Yeah, and there you are. There you are.
Eating.
I mean, yeah, you don't need to go to school to be an engineer. What's that all about?
It's a story time about some guy, Gareth, some guy I thought was going to be the love of my life. And he came up with this bizarre theory that you don't need a degree to be an engineer, because he was too afraid to tell me he doesn't have a degree and he's not an engineer.
And you believed him?
Of course I didn't, but I mean, I liked him, so I let him carry on.
Right.
I was just like,
Isn't it amazing? It's amazing what we will do if you love someone and you find them attractive. You will believe just about any bullshit that they put out there, just so that you can keep the fantasy in your head that it might work out. How long were you two like kind of vibing and together?
So I talk about a lot of boys on my channel, but there's one boy who remains consistent throughout my story times. His name is Jerome, and I was with him for about 2.5 years. He's the one I was with for the longest, really. That engineer guy was just like a once-off thing. It was like okay, this is great for content. No, I'm kidding.
But you, yeah. Well, listen. I mean, we've all done worse, right? I know people who've dated. I know people who've got married just so that they could have some material. Really?
Really?
Good God.
Mm-hmm. No, there are people like that.
Honestly, I just made it like a PS to all the boys I've ever loved movie, and turned it into like a YouTube series of literally bashing all the people I've ever hated.
I love that. I love that you can do such a variety of stuff, but you reckon the mukbang is the way to go in terms of like growing a channel really fast. So obviously mukbang is something you have to be good at, though, because not everybody can do it. You have to know how to do it well. So give us some tips for any aspiring mukbang stars of what they need to Mbulelo, you laugh, but I promise you there'll probably be more mukbang stars in the future than there are people who can, I don't know, talk about politics or psychology or anything like that. So let's talk about it.
Okay, so tip number 1 to be a really good mukbang artist: please eat, like actually eat on camera, because that's the whole point of ASMR. It completely defeats the purpose if you're talking and you're not consuming the food, because those people who like ASMR, they find that really annoying, right? So what I've done is, because the South African market has a really, I don't know, it was really difficult to kind of get them into the idea of eating, because they found it really, really disgusting. I had to mix that with something that they like, which was stories and story times. So I had to put the two together. And it was the most difficult concept, because the people who like story times absolutely hate mukbangs, and those who like mukbangs absolutely can't stand talking. And I think it's gotten to a point where they're slowly kind of integrating. So the first thing you want to do
together.
Yes.
You brought people together. That's what you've done. You are actually You're doing God's work. You're bringing the people of South Africa together, the ones who love mukbangs and the ones who love stories, and you're making them friends. So what kind of food is the best to eat during mukbang stuff?
So I think the one thing that was trending, and I don't know if you guys know this, so can I just give myself some dap? The one thing that was trending in American market was seafood boils. So I went on a hunt in South Africa for 6 months looking for a seafood boil. Then I found it, Gareth. And then I did a story time in seafood boil. And then it became like
okay, so I slowly here, because I didn't even know what a seafood boil is. Let's start with that. What is seafood boil?
Can someone unmic me, please? Gareth doesn't know what a seafood boil is.
I know. I'm very embarrassed. I don't know any of this shit. So you're gonna have to start with me from the bottom.
Okay. So a seafood boil is basically what's described as a boil that consists of a lot of different seafood. So it's got mussels, lobster, clams, anything that you like, put into a little nice spicy but very flavorful sauce, and it's basically served with corn and served with sausages. So it's essentially how Americans eat their seafood, and they call it a seafood boil because it's delicious.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. All right. I'm not gonna be eating this. I just have to explain. I just have to understand the concept.
Yes.
All right. So eating this seafood boil was way more exciting for your audience than if you'd eaten, I don't know, a packet of chips.
Yes, because they had never eaten a seafood boil before. They didn't know what it was. They've seen it on American content, but they've never seen a South African engage in it. I think only one YouTuber, and it was Umi Dreams. So when I started doing it, because by that time I had gained a lot of traction and I had a lot of social media presence, people started wondering, what's a seafood boil? And then everyone kind of started getting into it, and a lot of people really like seafood boils now.
Well, so, I mean, you're teaching us things this morning, so I'm okay. Now I know what a seafood boil is. Do you feel pressure to eat a whole lot? I mean, would it be easier if you were a person who was naturally, like, let's say you were a fat person and you ate more? Would you assume that would help the ASMR, the mukbang, or do you think it would get in the way? Because people obviously also like watching you. It's not about just any person eating. And I mean, you're obviously a good-looking human being. I mean, we can all see you on the screen now. So Naledi's, you're very beautiful.
Thank you.
And that obviously helps, because if you looked like a train wreck, like, I don't know that Mbulelo and I, if we had to try our very best, I don't know that anyone would really join our mukbang channel.
No,
they would.
I wouldn't join my own.
No,
you wouldn't.
If I had one, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to look at that face ever again.
I think you guys have a point, though. I guess the whole personality comes into play. But there are some people who focus mostly on ASMR, and that's why they kind of cut off parts of their faces. So you literally just focus on the eating. They have dedicated ASMR channels,
and they like the sounds of, like, the saliva and the breathing and all that. You know, that's exactly the opposite of the sounds I want to hear while other people are eating. And I think, frankly, if I'd eaten like that at the table when I was little, my parents would have smacked me and chased me away, because the whole point was to eat as quietly as possible. And if you made revolting mouth noises, they would have chased you out of the room. So in ASMR, though, they want to hear that sound. So you've got to kind of smack your lips and move your tongue around your mouth and slurp up the noodles and all that kind of stuff. People like that, right? I need to understand. Like, this is how it works.
So there's two different types of ASMR, right? There's people who eat with their mouth open. So, like, for example, one big American ASMR is called B Loves Life, and she eats like this.
Okay, I got you.
Stand that.
I
can't stand it. And then you have the more Korean-based ASMR. Those are the ones I watch. They chew with their mouth closed, but because their mics are so good, you literally hear the chewing with their mouth closed. And that's essentially what you're looking forward to. Not the more so the but listening to the sound of the teeth and the noodles.
This is amazing.
It's
honestly,
so cool.
I'm so happy to have you on the show, because finally we've broken through and I understand some of this stuff a little bit. I've never understood any of this shit, and it's always made no sense to me, and I always felt like I was dumb because I didn't know and I couldn't talk to anyone about it. This is really helpful, and I guarantee you our audience are all going to go and subscribe to see what you're up to on your channel, because This sounds like the kind of thing that it's just fascinating that it's such a big deal. Human beings seem to love this in 2021.
I think the thing is with us, I wouldn't call us like slow adapters. You've got early adapters, and I mean, we're a third world country. So you've got people that are in the States and in Asia that are already performing at exceeding lengths in terms of technology. So I think a lot of the time when it comes to what we kind of find interest in on social media, I was very scared to come clean about the fact that I love ASMR. And it took a lot. I was bullied a lot when I began. People were like,
yeah, of course,
disgusting.
And I thought you were being stupid, right? They made fun of you because they thought this is obviously someone who's just she's trying too hard, or she's copying what other people overseas are doing. They had criticism, but of course none of them were doing it. So you just kept on.
They literally asked me, "What the hell are you doing? Like, why are you eating on camera? That is so disgusting." And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna push through, because a part of me does want to be a mukbang YouTuber. There is so much money in mukbangs, guys. Oh my god. Okay, I don't want to tell you guys how much money is there, because I don't want you guys joining me. Okay, just let me do this by myself.
Can you make a living? I mean, you've got 100,000 subscribers and 7 million views. I keep referring to that because people are always saying, how hard is it to make money on YouTube? This is your full-time job, right? You don't have another job. You do this, and this manages to make you a good living.
So yes, I finally got into a point where my YouTube career literally does sustain me right now. But did it sustain me when I began? No.
Right. Okay, so what was your job before this?
Yeah. I was a marketing assistant at a power management firm.
Wow.
In a machine plant.
Were you creating synergy? Because
very ABB Schneider. Like I was working.
God, okay. You thought mukbang was embarrassing, like being a marketing person, and
I'm literally just happy I'm done with my masters at this point. I'm surprised I even got here. Like,
were you one of those people where you would get in a room and say, all right, I just want to make sure that everybody in the room is on the same page. It's just important that, we'll circle back to that. Thanks, Cindy, for that suggestion.
Yeah, and let's work on making grassroots changes in order to implement the strategy of the business at an executive level, and then we can always get suggestions, and everybody's welcome to make a contribution, that kind of shit.
Yeah,
I was that girl. No, I was the Naledi, if you could go print this, please, and then just make sure to send an email scheduling a meeting for everyone else in the office. Create the Christmas cards, Secret Santa. We're gonna need you to organize. It was bad.
Oh, you. Oh, that's terrible. Poor you. Hey,
guys.
All right. So Corona's Boring wants to know: do you do milkshakes on your mukbang channel?
I literally don't. I've only been doing food. I've never really branched out into drinks. I mean,
Zanella says you got it right by mixing mukbang with your great storytelling, Naledi. So there we go.
Thank you so much, Zanella. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You see, people are now opening up and admitting this stuff. Carol Jean says, I've also watched a few What's on My iPhone ASMRs, quite weird. Dogozo says she loves eating on camera. I can't stand those videos, but I get that there is a market out there. So, people know.
It is.
Yeah, hey, mastication is a huge market, It's if you can get somebody to masticate on camera.
I mean, it beats the word. It beats doing what the word on OnlyFans that sounds a bit like that is.
I was wondering what that word is.
Tremaine says a lot of South African YouTubers suck at mukbangs. It's like they're afraid of the food. Just eat. That's what you're saying.
I agree with you, Tremaine. I agree with you to a certain extent. As much as I love South African YouTubers and I support them, patriots, in the mukbang space, I do feel like they need to be more proud of what they're doing. So if you want to eat on camera, eat on camera. Okay, I'm gonna need you to eat. But
I remember. So I used to have this disgusting producer. And he sometimes still comes on the show, and he's a disgusting person. Like, he makes disgusting noises the whole time. And we used to, I used to secretly record him when he was eating, because he would eat just the most terrible food in the mornings before the show. And we would record just the the noises he would make, and it was disgusting to hear the sounds of this human being. And people loved it. They loved, for a different reason to the reason they like watching you, obviously, but they liked it because he was just an atrocious person who ate all the time. He was very unhealthy. He made revolting sounds. I mean, listen to this quickly, and I'll play you. I've still got some noises from him. No, you've got to hear this to believe it.
I can't
now
wait.
you tell me if we could convert this into mukbang, because I reckon he was ahead of his time.
I'm about to have an eargasm.
All right, I hope you can hear this though, because that was the problem yesterday. So I'm going to try and play it from my side, and if it doesn't work, then we'll do something else with it at some point. But this is Damon, my producer, making eating noises. He's just revolting eating noises. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, again, can you hear that now? You can't hear it?
No.
Try.
Nothing.
You can't hear that?
No.
Okay, damn. I don't know how to get that to play out. I'll try and figure it out later for you. I've built it up now. I can't let you down. So just quickly, what kind of microphone do you need to have for this?
So there is a particular microphone. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's the one, I don't know, maybe you know it, Gareth, the one that stands on its own and you like literally stand next to it, like those olden day ones that used to hang from a thingy.
Does it have like it stands in a cage and it's got like strings attached to it to give it
something
extra,
like that?
right?
But there's also that normal one that just stands on its own and looks like a little ice cream thingy-mabobby. I don't know. It just stands there.
Because you're talking about there are so many different kinds of microphone, and I think that what you're describing is almost it's one of those ones that picks up all the ambient noise as well. So you have to be in a quiet room, right? So if you live in a noisy apartment where the neighbors are having sex next door and the other neighbors have got children screaming and you got dogs outside barking and hardy-dars flying over the house, it's going to be very hard for you to record a good mukbang video. So what is the best time to do that when everyone else is away at work?
So the best time, there's a difference, right? So the mukbang is just the eating on camera. It's not necessarily focused on the ambience, but it is focused on just watching you eat. And then there's the ASMR, which is the one where you should be cautious of what time to record, right?
Oh, wow.
So with the ASMR, the best time to record is literally like late evening. I record late evening. I can record as late as 10, 11 p.m. just to get my ASMR through, because my neighbor has a parrot and that parrot is loud and irritating. I can't even record. Then you've got the other neighbor who's got a baby. So it's horrid. So I record late in the evening.
That's amazing. So Andy says it's called a condenser microphone. He's exactly right. And Michael also hitting on that one. And those condenser mics, they're quite expensive, but obviously if you're doing this for a living, you have to have the right equipment, right? You have to make sure
I use Rode mics, which I use.
Those are amazing
for now.
Yeah,
they are.
They're fantastic.
Opinion.
Yeah,
great.
very, very good.
And the Boyan, is it Boyan? What is it? Starts with the B, guys.
Sure. I'm not sure.
I don't know if maybe your audience knows it. It's called Boy, or something. My sister's actually got the recent one, and it's really, really good. It's the one they use for podcasts. You know, the one that hangs over your neck? Yeah. And it's brilliant. That is also really, really brilliant.
How much money do you have to invest as a YouTuber who's taking it seriously? I mean, I see the ring light behind you, and you get cheap ones and you get good ones, and you get microphones that are cheap and good, and you have to get a good camera and all that stuff. I mean, how much do you reckon your equipment is worth? Because this is the nice thing about YouTube is even if you want to take it super seriously, you don't have to break the bank. You don't have to spend millions of rands. You can do this with like a couple of $100 and you can do a very good job, right? You also just need good internet, obviously. But you seem like you're one of those people who takes it very seriously. You're very real professional. You've got all the right stuff. So what does that all set you back?
So to be really honest, looking at it from like a glance, I think maybe plus minus 30,000 just on equipment. And now bear in mind that this is equipment I've built over time. I think
Yeah.
the ring light is something that's really standard. I obviously got a ring light that was a little bit more powerful because I obviously wanted to create a certain setting in my room, because ring lights have cool settings and warm
Right.
settings.
Right.
So you can get a normal ring light, which is literally about maybe 1.5, 2 at most. But then you have the more advanced ones. And then you get box lights, which are also on right now. And then you get cameras, you get a tripod, you get a mic.
Right.
You get that foil thing that makes you look even more beautiful, you know? So just looking at it from a glance, plus minus, I think my equipment is just under 30,000. But
That's
I
amazing.
think I've built it over time. You can literally start a YouTube channel
Listen,
if you have a good camera.
I got our technical whiz at Cliff Central, Greg. I got him to go and buy like ring lights, and he came back with this thing. Didn't cost a whole lot of money. And for the first, I don't know, the first month or two of YouTube, because we only went on YouTube in April, so we're really late to your party. Oh yeah, no. How long have you been on? Probably about
I've
2,
been
3,
on
4
for
years.
5 years. No.
5 years. There we go.
Yes, 2016.
Okay, so we
Started with
are like children in your universe. But for the first 2 or 3 months of having this ring light, I just couldn't get the settings right. I looked like the worst kind of pale white person you can get in the world. I looked like I was dead, and I was one of the Walking Dead zombies from. I promise you, it was horrible. I don't know how we didn't lose subscribers during that time. I have no idea.
Gareth, you own a whole podcast.
I know, it was so embarrassing. Well, if I'd met you by then, I might have had better equipment. But I'm only meeting you now. See, we can learn from each other. Yep. This is important. All right, so good. Well, it's never too late. Radio is really not the most exciting place to be there anymore. I think being on YouTube's better. Good Cop says, what camera do you use, Naledi?
So I have 2 cameras, one which is a DSLR, and then I have a vlogging camera. So for my DSLR, I'm still using the Canon 750D, which is fairly old. I wouldn't suggest you use that now. And then for my vlogging camera, I use the Canon M50D. No, not M50D, the Canon M50. There we go.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, that's what I use.
That's going to be really useful information for people who know anything about cameras, which I don't. So.
I'm really trying to upgrade though.
Are you? What would be the best one to have?
The one I really want right now is the one most big beauty YouTubers have, which is the Mark V. I think it's the 5D Mark IV. It's literally just about 60,000, and that's just the body of the camera. But It's amazing. You shoot in 4K. Everything just looks crystal clear. Everything looks HD. It's brilliant. It's such a brilliant camera.
You're gonna have to start doing some chewing so you can get that camera. You better.
I mean, I was gonna chew after this.
Right. Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen.
Right? Yep.
Good for you.
Yes. Sorry, Mbulelo, I could hardly hear you there. It broke up really badly. What did you say?
I said she's gonna have to do some chewing. Really get the channel going.
Mbulelo, go off and come back, because for some reason it just froze. Okay, it looks like you're back now. So here's something interesting. Good Stuff says, I heard people buy old music recording equipment for their channels. So people are buying when they're on YouTube, they're buying old antiquated equipment because apparently the sound is amazing. Well, I mean, a lot of people who have like old record players, they swear that, these real music aficionados, they swear that is the best way to listen to music. And people who really know their music, they love that stuff. Naledi's storytelling skills are amazing, great quality videos, and she sounds real, says Dogozo. And then
thank you so much.
Corona's Boring says that we at Cliff Central need to get a Canon P9000. It's pretty much a recording telescope. It sounds amazing.
I'll check out the P9000 as well. I really need to find a really good camera that records in 4K, because mine doesn't. And it's time to really move up a notch, get to 100,000 subscribers and start rebranding. Yeah.
Now, have you had people, because you've been successful, taking shots at you? Have you had people trying to ruin it for you? You know how many mean and nasty and jealous people there are in the world. Have you had a lot of support, or have you had also some real douchebags who've tried to ruin it for you?
I think I have two incidents where people have actively gone out and tried to ruin it for me. And I think the fact that being on Twitter and being a very vocal person on Twitter, my job has literally forced me to shut up. Can I say that? To shut up? Like, it's forced me to keep my mouth shut. There's been instances where people have called me out of my name on social media. And when that train started flowing, I had an incident with another female influencer last year. And she basically called me out of my name, the W word, right? And it just became like a whirlwind, a storm where maybe others who didn't feel some type of way. I mean, I gathered a lot of support, but it was just everything being exposed on social media. It was very weird seeing the bullying, and I get bullied quite frequently. It's like people wait for a moment to bully you.
Yeah, I'm blown away by how this happens and how it's allowed to happen. You know, you hear YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, they're all anti-bullying, but they don't seem to actually do anything about this stuff when it happens to people. You know, basically something really awful and really destructive has to happen before they'll even act. But they're actually not helpful in these situations at all. What did these people who don't like you, and there can't be many of them, it's probably like 2 or 3 in the whole world, but what is their beef with you? Is it because you're successful that they don't like you?
So a lot of the time in all 3 incidents that I've had, which have actually been on Twitter, I've never understood why. So one of the reasons they came at me for my last partner. So, you know, it's like a typical situation where people will always just say, remember you dated that guy and that guy was on the list. And then the last incident was over something so minuscule. It's like, you can't have an opinion anymore. And I think Twitter, when something like that happens, one small bad move, and all the people who don't like me will be like, I never liked her. And you're like, bro, I thought we were Twitter friends. What
they can't wait to see you screw up, and they can't wait to make you screw up. I think this is really good advice, and I think it's really good advice for anyone who wants to be successful online or who wants to have a career even offline. Is there is no more use in being on Twitter. It does no good for people. It can only ruin. I mean, even if you have a huge following, like supposedly I got these 2 million people who follow me on Twitter, right? But I don't even go on there anymore because it is just such a goddamn mess. And all people are doing is they're just nasty. There's vindictiveness, there's meanness, there's people who completely fabricate stuff in order to bring other people down. It's not constructive. I don't know anyone, like here you are on YouTube, you've got, 100,000 subscribers. That's fantastic. And those 100,000 subscribers make you more successful because they bring more people to the party and they love what you do. And you can actually make a living out of this. You can't make a living out of Twitter. There's no way that anyone can make a living out of that.
I don't know if I agree with that statement, because as much as I can say Twitter is a really toxic space, I can also say that Twitter has generally helped me in terms of my reach when it comes to YouTube, because a lot of my following is South African people, which is what I've always wanted, to make content that was curated for South Africans. It means nothing to me to be universal and try to appeal to an American market. So Twitter has actually helped me. A lot of people have actually, rallied for support, retweeted. It's the little things like that, like big comedians like Nina Hastings and Pearl Madiadi, big radio DJs found me through Twitter and actually started watching my content. So to a certain degree, as much as I do agree that Twitter can be a really toxic space, it can also be a community that garners support. I mean, we find out incidences about people that happen on Twitter, and we support, we help, donate money, we do anything that we can. And a lot of the time, all of that happens on Twitter.
That's a fair point. I mean, it does. I think it does a lot of good, but it does way more bad than good. And you know what? Frankly, it's like a news feed. Jean says Twitter is so toxic. Kanda Kulu says Naledi, the detractors will fall away. I'm jealous, which is exactly right.
You're right, Kanda. Right.
Cindy Selepe says, morning to the ultimate fave. That's
hi.
You have lots of fans here already. There are lots of people who know about you.
That's so cool.
All right. I want us to get into a couple of stories that are in the news this morning, and let's see what's going on. We've got to keep ourselves informed about what's happening in the country, what's happening in the world. And there's a lot of news at the moment. I don't know if you've seen the whole story of Afghanistan. My God. Did you see those videos on Instagram of the people in Afghanistan who were so desperate to get out of there? They flooded the airports in Kabul. They were holding onto the plane. Yeah, they were people grabbing onto the landing gear and everything else, just trying to get out of Afghanistan. Can you imagine how scared they are to do that? And then the plane takes off, and you can see the people falling from the plane from, like, I don't know, a kilometer up. No, they obviously die when they hit the ground, but it's so awful. Did you see that in Mbulelo?
I did see it. It's
Jesus, all over the place. Thing. Horrible.
Yeah. What is going on in the world? Like, everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong.
No, it's scary. Very, very scary. Apparently, listen to this. This is the kind of story that we do not see enough of this anymore. There's apparently a South African satanic church, all right, and they have...
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. They've had to distance themselves from the slaughter of cats in Manenberg. So I wish I was making this up, but this is according to Eyewitness News. At least 39 cats have been found mutilated in the community of Manenberg in the Western Cape in recent weeks.
Have you seen the Netflix series, sorry, Gareth, called Don't Mess with Cats? Well, obviously the effort, Don't Mess with Cats. Yes. They can't be mutilating cats.
They are. So here's the story. Apparently in Manenberg, 39 cats have been found mutilated. The South African Satanic Church said it did not condone the abusive slaughter of animals, abuse of or slaughter of animals. The organization, this is the Satanic Church of South Africa, their leader, Rian Swiegelaar, says the general public sadly still associates the ritual killing of animals with Satanism. This is mainly due to misconceptions through the moral and satanic panic of the 80s and 90s. So he said they're now offering, that the Satanic Church are offering a 10,000 Rand reward for any info that could lead to the arrest and conviction of the Manenberg cat killer. I wish I was making this up. Post-mortems of the cats, yes, they've done those, have found that some of the animals, this is absolutely horrific. I mean, so anyone who's doing this to these animals, it's terrible, but it is a stupidly funny story too, because post-mortems have found the animals were beaten before they were sliced open with a sharp blade and disemboweled, while others had part of their rib cages, hearts and lungs pulled out. So it's a pretty gross, sick person who's doing this. But the Satanic Church says, it's not us. Please, don't hold us responsible.
But if you find him, we've got a 10,000 Rand reward. That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, they're offering a reward so that they don't get the blame. Who else used to do that?
Your old Maca, old Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, old Emperor Nero,
yes,
as Seneca used to look after him as a child. Because you know very well, Seneca tried to actually leave as the mentorship of Nero was forced upon him, and because Seneca used to see him dropping cats and animals from the top of the of towers and
they say that people who abuse animals will go on to abuse people almost every time. So if you find someone who's mean to animals, especially like furry, fluffy other mammals, they usually turn into complete psychopaths later on. So it's a horrible story. I don't want anyone to think that we are in any way like reveling in the misery of these poor cats, but it's still hilarious that the Satanic Church has to come out of the woodwork and like they have to say, it's not us. Please don't blame us. That is pretty hilarious.
It's funny. Have you guys seen the new series called Devil's Dorp? The one that launched on Showmax. I'm like, is Cecilia Steyn part of this?
I know. So we haven't seen. I haven't seen the show yet, but I've got to watch it today because we're actually interviewing the people who put the series together, and I want to make sure that I know what's going on when I talk to them. But it's unbelievable. Apparently, you've seen it.
Yes, it's
Tell us.
Literally like what we read about in the States. When you're listening to cult stories and everything in the States, it's unbelievable. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Cecilia Steyn, right? I didn't know who she was prior.
She was in the news, and the only reason I know the name is because I remember covering this story in our show once or twice about this woman who was living in Krugersdorp, and she had like a whole lot of people doing her bidding. She had these people, if she said go out and kill someone, they would kill someone. If she said to someone go out and buy me this, they'd buy it for her with their money. She had them brainwashed.
It was Charles Manson-y, it was very cult, like go to the jail with like their hair down. It was very like do whatever I want for you. So now it's a 4-part episode where basically they showcase how these people were working for Cecilia, but it gets so tricky because people actually fake their own deaths. I'm like, wow, people in South Africa actually know how to. What are you guys doing?
That's insane, right?
Like this. It was the craziest story. You should actually watch it. Let me not spoil it for those who don't know, but please go watch Devil's Dorp.
I mean, this is so Devil's Dorp. We've got cats being murdered in Mannenberg. We've got Mukbang. There's a lot happening this morning on the show. There's a huge amount all going on.
Phenomenal. Let's see if there's an intersection. Naledi, maybe you can find an intersection between you and the Satanic Church and open up.
Maybe you should do like remote mukbang with them while they're in prison. That could be fun.
Of course, just 10,000. I'll go find him myself. I'll be like, I'll find the cat killer. Worry
right. That could make you even more famous. Okay, so here it is. On social media, there's apparently a new type of influencer. This is according to the BBC this morning. Instead of promoting clothing lines or lifestyle products, they promote fraud. Listen to this. They flash stacks of cash. They hide their faces. Some even lure new recruits by selling guides on how to commit fraud. You would think these scammers and their illegal products would be hard to find, but now they're right out there. They're not on the dark web. They're on ordinary channels like YouTube and everywhere else. So as part of an investigation, this one journalist found how easy it is to make deals with fraudsters and purchase guides to fraud online. I also unmasked one anonymous influencer who has been selling them. On social media, perpetrators of online retail fraud refer to it as clicking, making it seem even more innocuous. But committing fraud, which is defined by the police-run service action fraud as using trickery to gain a dishonest advantage, often financial, it could lead to 10 years or more in prison. But apparently people are just going online now and actually talking about the fraud that they commit. So how's this? And apparently it's huge.
So exactly how does the fraud happen? They click on the website. Like how does the fraud happen?
No, so they call it clicking, but it's basically how you scam people. So they will blur their faces out, but they'll give you a lecture, like a 20-minute YouTube video on how you can become a fraudster, how you can rip off other people.
Do you want to drop the link down there? It's really hard. I'm joking.
Yeah, if only. Can you imagine?
Times are tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is that there are people in this country. There are those two brothers who tried to do that to people with Bitcoin recently. There are also these people who they do that with Forex. They tell you, well, give me 1,000 Rand of your money and I'll invest it into Forex for you and turn it into 5,000 Rand. And then people go, yeah, I'll do that. And they never see their 1,000 Rand again.
There are churches.
I was actually asked to be an influencer for Forex. Like a Forex company approached me and said, hey, listen, we need some influencers to really promote Forex. And I was like, you know what? If I even understood Forex, I can't promote something I don't even know how it works. Like, no, it's easy. We'll give you a tutorial and a guide. And then what you need to do is post on Instagram. I'm like, no. But some influencers are doing it. They are promoting it. Some big Instagram influencers. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think you've just got to be very careful what you associate yourself with when you're in your position, right? Because otherwise you're responsible, like to your audience, you're responsible to not lead them down a garden path.
True. And you don't also want to become like a cash cow when it comes to brands. You don't want to just work with everything. So you don't want to work with Colgate and then work with Aquafresh and then work with this. Yeah. I mean, you really want to kind of decide and like brand yourself in a way that makes you reliable. That's, I think, the one thing that brands want, to know that you're reliable. So, no, Forex, no, thanks.
Neil says he just checked out the trailer to Devilsdorp and he's obviously shocked.
Right, Neil, did you see it? Oh,
I've got to watch this. I'm going to do it today. Otherwise, I'm going to be left
private
behind.
investigation, and it just gets worse with every episode. It gets worse.
Have you seen those YouTube videos where they catch the hackers or they catch the fraudsters and then they go to where they live and they bust them? And it's hilarious to watch because they always think because they're online, they'll never be caught. But yeah, I mean, Kanda says, I like watching those hackers hack the call centers in India. So in other words, we get a good hacker to find the bad hackers. And then they reveal who they are and they like switch on their camera and they're like, hey, we got you. Now we know what you look like and we know where you live. And these guys shit themselves because they're not expecting it.
Can someone give me the link to that? I haven't seen that and I'd love to watch.
It's so great. Just look for just Google like hackers bust or hackers caught
exposed
on camera. Yeah, exposed, that kind of thing. You'll find some amazing
Definitely.
stuff. Kieran
Check
says
it out.
it's funny how all the foreign exchange peeps are forever selling courses. Makes you think where they're making the cash. It's snake oil, everything. Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're making so much money on Forex, why do you care about selling a course to other people?
It's like
You know
what
what
I
I
said
mean?
about mukbangs. I mean, if I'm making money
Mhm.
with mukbangs, I don't need you guys to join me. It's fine.
Right.
I'm
Right.
good.
Although, having said that, the Catholic Church that has never paid taxes has not stopped taking tithes. So don't tell me that you've got enough money. If the scam can keep going, it'll keep going. Yeah,
I'm Catholic.
Keep the scam. Yeah.
The church isn't turning people like they're not saying, "Hey, poor people, don't bring tithes." You know, so keep the scam going.
Right.
See, I mean, I think
Here's the Michael says that Devilsdorp sounds as weirdly addictive as the Tiger King. Well, apparently it's a huge success, eh? Runaway
Tiger King
success.
was amazing.
Jameen says Devilsdorp is really hectic. It messed with my head a little. One of the kingpins is a primary school teacher.
That's awesome.
No.
Some kid in high school literally went into school with a machete and killed one of his peers, and in Devilsdorp. Like you have to watch it. It's unbelievable.
It's like a football academy, you know. It's like you've got to have the young kids to come into the devil's house, and you got to keep producing, you know.
Train them
Like,
while they're kids, you know, while they're still young and susceptible.
It's
It's
unbelievable.
shocking. It's shocking. And it's
Sharon
weirdly
says-
amazing.
Sharon says she had to watch it twice to work out who did what. Yeah.
Okay.
And apparently, here's a good channel for you, Naledi. It's called Scammer Payback. If you want to watch
Thanks
a
for
good
that.
channel about them busting this stuff.
Gamma payback.
Very, very
I'll check
good.
that out.
All right, awesome. I want to just introduce our intern. He's actually sitting in the studio in Joburg at the moment. I don't know what the hell he's doing there because everybody's kind of on remote. So here's Josh. He's sitting in the studio. Hey, Josh, what's happening?
How's it? How are you?
Good. So you came to the studio and you were there last Tuesday. Did you learn anything? Are you picking up anything?
Crazy. I mean, the whole team here at Cliff Central is amazing. Worked on the MKT show. I mean, that's the work that goes into that's
Don't
crazy.
be scared. Don't be scared. Say how you really feel. Don't be scared of this guy.
Yeah, no, Gareth's a bit scary, but I'll keep that a bit. I'll keep that quiet.
Have you seen Naledi's channel on YouTube? This is the kind of thing that really is very inspiring for people who are looking to start their own businesses and to start becoming massive YouTube stars, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially in South Africa. I mean, the South African YouTubers, that's where we need to go, you know.
Tell us about you.
Americans.
What's your story? Where were you at school? Are you still at school now?
Yeah, I'm still at school, grade 11
Okay.
at St. Benedict's College, Bedford View. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Bedford View.
Oh,
You have some gangsters in your school.
They're called the Chayas.
Some would say I am the
out there. Are you my
gangster,
boy
but,
from the
but,
east? Makes when it go.
I heard the
Yeah.
boys, they run extra fast because, you know, they take that stuff that starts with an S, you know? I heard
No,
you
we
guys.
all on our creatine. We're all on our creatine, yeah.
Oh,
You guys
really?
are like
Is that how it works?
17, looking 27, hey? Like,
Yeah. So our guys, I mean, like, you don't have to mention names or say that it's happening at your school, but like what Naledi's talking about with roids and gym and all that stuff, there's a lot of pressure, right? Especially if you're in sport.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we see it everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, people talk about it now, but they used to try and hide that shit. Now you meet these matric guys, and they're 120 kilograms of pure muscle. When I was in matric, I was like a stick insect.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, right. They barely fit in their
I think with COVID, it's coming a lot more now because I mean you've almost had a year to get away with it, so we do see it a lot more. Yeah.
So okay, what do you want to do after school? What's your idea?
Yeah, to be honest, radio or something like this would be the biggest dream possible. YouTube. I don't know, something like this.
Well, you're in the right place. I mean, you're here on the screen with Naledi. She's the person to talk to. She's giving free advice to everybody this morning.
Yeah,
You could charge for this, Naledi. You could tell people, hey, you've explained equipment. You've told us how you started your channel. We should actually be paying you for this.
Next thing I need to do is just write a book and scam you guys off things that you can already find on YouTube.
It's true. That's probably about right. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so listen, Josh, I hope you get to learn some stuff at the studio today. We were all coming in for meetings, which we do on a Tuesday. So hopefully you get to meet everybody. And did you meet everyone the other day? Is there anyone you didn't meet?
Yeah, I didn't meet Dory, but she's coming in today, and I think that was about it.
And Jane, did you meet Jane? Very important, because Jane Malachi is probably the most important person to meet there, and you do not get on the wrong side of her, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I did meet Jane. I did. I definitely.
She's
met
terrifying.
Yeah.
So before we let Josh go,
yes,
he also swims. So what are you, Josh? Third in the country, by the way. 5K swimmer, open water.
Oh, really?
So not at your yuppie pool with the Yentas at what's it, at Alice Lane. Yeah, it's not Alice Lane 5Ks. It's in the open water 5K. He's third in the country. That's impressive.
You're the third best. What do we call that? Long distance swimming? What do we call it? Marathon swimming?
Open water swimming.
Open water swimming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't it called the Mid-Mar?
Yeah,
where you have to swim in a dam, in a dirty dam?
Yeah.
That's just an event. You don't call every single 100-meter race the Olympics.
So, all right. So Josh, so you go in winter. Do you swim as well?
Yeah. Throughout the year.
Oh my God, dude. Isn't that freezing? How do you suck up the courage and go outside and jump in cold open water?
Yeah, we're lucky enough at St. Benedict's. We got an indoor pool, so it's not too bad. Okay. But I am working in the outdoor because I'm trying to do the Robben Island swim in December. So that's 7.5 from Bloberg to Robben Island. But yeah, no, the outdoor pool, yeah.
Josh,
I don't know if you've heard. We've got a guy who we check in with every now and then. He's a friend of the show. A guy called Ryan Strummerett. He's been swimming those Robben Island swims for a long time now. He's got lots of experience there. You must talk to him. We'll connect you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, will do.
Yeah, he's a very cool guy. All right, so you guys got an indoor pool where you can train now, and obviously, swimmers. There's a good chance that swimmers in this country end up becoming like Olympians and all the rest of it. So you're in the right sport. Don't you think, Mbulelo?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh. And especially once you start to get into this echelon where he is, it's quite nice because, I mean, you go to Tux, you go to the University of Stellenbosch, and they take it seriously. And he's in the right place. He's doing all the things, and he's already in the mix with Tatiana Schoonmaker. So he's doing all the right things.
Good
I've also heard that training for swimming is pretty intense, Josh. I heard that you dedicate a lot of time to actually swimming and getting your breathing right. Because is that true? Does it actually take up a lot of your time, or do you just swim?
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. I mean, we train 2 hours every day. Sunday's the only day we get off. Yeah, and then you got to factor gym into it and everything. But yeah,
well done to you, dude. That's pretty amazing. Good for you, Josh. So cool. That's impressive stuff. You see, he's not just some moron who wants to be in radio. I mean, if they're a dime a dozen. He's a brilliant swimmer, this guy. So well done to you. You make us proud. That Excellent stuff.
Cool. That's cool, Josh.
Cool.
All right, thanks, you could teach all of us at Cliff Central how to swim, and we'll teach you how to do radio. It's much easier doing our stuff.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Okay, cool, Josh. Maybe we should build Mbulelo. Don't you think we should build a Cliff Central indoor pool? It might get people a little bit fitter.
I can't comment on them. You know what? With COVID subsiding and heroes like myself surviving, everyone's starting to come back now. So If you'd asked me that 6 months ago, I might have said yeah, but I can't say it now because everyone's coming back. I might be thinking it,
but you do have a public service announcement about pools for the summer, because summer's definitely starting. I was outside yesterday and I was doing a whole lot of stuff, and I suddenly I looked around and isn't it great? I love this. I'm not a winter person. I can't handle this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your question about pools, or what's your public service announcement around pools, Mbulelo?
Here's my thing. I'm at that awkward age because I really screwed up my 20s. So I didn't make enough money to actually have a nice house by now at 35. And there's a lot of those people that are in that sweet spot where they still live in and around or at their parents' houses at my age. And they've got that proper summer pool. Like I've got a pool at my complex, but I don't want any douchebags ruining stuff at my complex, and I got to pay for it. But if you've got a great pool, let's not be selfish this summer. We just had a pandemic. Let's do the right thing. Throw out the invites. Sun's out, buns out. Sun's out, guns out.
Okay.
Get going, Alex.
All right. So you're saying you this has got nothing to do with the public good. This is all about you having fun. You want people to invite you to pool parties. That's what you're saying.
And nice houses. Oh, sorry. I'm not gonna.
Yes. No.
Will you swim?
Will
you swim?
No, am I gonna swim? Get out of here.
He's not one of those blacks, eh?
No,
like there's some blacks who swim and some blacks who dip their feet in the pool and dangle them like they're 7.
No.
So I'm trying to figure out what you're going to be doing.
I don't go to pool parties where there's too many black people. I don't go to too many parties because if you go to black people's house parties, we don't do the pool party thing right. The pool is empty and everyone's in their Gucci with their Gucci, that douchebag Gucci bag. You know, that bag that everyone who thinks they've got cash. Yeah, they're all standing around the pool with their high tops. The guy's 38 years old and he's still wearing high tops, but okay, whatever.
So black people, then you jump.
I've always said, black people need white people and white people need black people. The white people at the house party make sure that we swim. That's what we're supposed to be there for. Right. And the black people bring just enough swag. So you got too many black house people at a pool party. Nah, I'm good. And
if there are too many white people, as you said, it can be very, very preppy and not particularly interesting. I'm with you.
You need the mix. The mix. We need each other.
It's very like swimming in the.
But nice houses.
There's too many. When there's too many white people there at the swimming pool, there's too much competition. Everybody's butterflying, everybody's backstroking, everybody's breaststroking. I don't have the time. I just want to get out. Like I just want to cannonball. Like I don't want to do too much. I'm not doing the mid-bar. So leave me with the blacks.
Yeah.
All right. So
nice
houses with nice pools, because you want the whole atmosphere to be conducive.
Exactly.
You don't want like a beautiful pool but in a shitty neighborhood, because then it's embarrassing for you. Hey, Mbulelo.
That's why I have to go to Gareth's house.
Park, Houghton, Bryanston.
Something that has like a security guard at the gate, right? So when you drive in, they tell you to park here, and then you walk inside, you walk in through the back, and he's already got a big backyard. I get you, Mbulelo. What's the point of swimming in a dirty pool that's never blue, that's semi-green? Yes, I'm sharing a lot.
No one wants that. No one wants that. No, nobody. That's awesome.
Why it's always good HTC.
So if you're just joining us this morning, we've got a terrific guest. She's joined us for the course of the day, and she's fantastic. She's got an amazing YouTube channel which you need to check out too, Naledi M, and she has done extraordinary things on YouTube, and she's doing great things with us this morning. So I got this email. Sorry, it was an Instagram message. It wasn't even an email. The show this morning, this was yesterday, so 16th of August. So I got the email from them, or the Instagram message yesterday. They said the discussions and topics that you guys were on yesterday were amazing. Please, can I ask for Gareth and Mbulelo's 3 favorite books to add to my reading list? You see, you already gave us some. This is why this came up. Bronwyn, your biggest fan. She says, I love you guys. Thanks for a brilliant show. Okay, well, that's nice of you, Bronwyn. Thank you. All right, Mbulelo, you just we can't go with three books, but choose one. You mentioned one yesterday already. Give us another book that Bronwyn can go and start reading.
I don't know what Bronwyn's into, but I would probably I don't know. I'm currently reading Nietzsche's Human, All Too Human, which is not actually as philosophical as other stuff. It's not, no.
You're going heavy, man.
No. It's not what your face is doing. I mean, I've read it before. So, but I don't know. If you're looking for something that's cool right now, I would probably read the Netflix book. I think Reed Hastings is somebody to look forward to. So I think it's Rules No Rules.
Reed Hastings. Yeah, that's the Netflix guy.
Yeah, it's kind of reshaping culture. I thought it's one of the better ones I've read since shooting.
I'll just hold it up. Okay, so here, I even put this on my Instagram yesterday. This is a present that I got it's like an early birthday present from Barrett, who runs our sales at Cliff Central, and I'm really interested in getting into this book. It's Bill Bryson's The Body, a guide for occupants. Now, Bill Bryson is such a great author. This guy, he's written some amazing stuff. I remember reading Down Under and A Short History of Nearly Everything. You cannot go wrong reading this guy's books. You come out of it feeling so much smarter and so interested in the world around you. Like, if you're a complete ignoramus about this stuff, then just pick up one of his books. Your whole life will change. I can promise you, it's just gonna improve every part of your life. Any of his books, I would say, is worth it.
I totally agree.
Sounds good. I don't know if anyone cares what book I'm reading. So
of course we do. I was going to ask you.
I'm reading something really profound right now, and it's actually really shaped my whole life. It's called Entrepreneurship in an Organization, and it's called Research Methodology and Project Innovation at Master's Level, courtesy of Monash, South Africa. Thank you very much.
That's what you're reading. Book. All right. I'm sorry I asked now.
Life-changing textbook.
All right. We're gonna take a break at 7:00. We'll be back in just a 2-3 minutes time. Don't go away. cliffcentral.com this morning with Naledi and with Mbulelo and Gareth. We will see you in just a second. Don't go too far away. All right. Oh, hang on. There's Naledi's channel. Let me just put this on.
This week on Auto Central.
Next questions from Siso, who's asked, there's a sound when I turn the steering wheel. I recently had a huge pothole while I was on my way to work, and the rack end of the car was broken. I replaced the rack and the tie rod end to the side where the rack end was broken. He then took the car to realignment to see what's going on, but he seems to notice that there's still that sound whenever he's trying to turn the wheel.
Catch Auto Central, SA's #1 motoring podcast, every Monday at 9 a.m.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yo, I put it like wow. This that sound. These oaks don't work hard like me, I hope they know by now.
That's the MKT show, cliffcentral.com. You can follow that and subscribe today. And if you're wondering who's our special guest this morning, it's Naledi M. She's got an incredible YouTube channel. She does all kinds of cool stuff. We found out all about Mukbang this morning. And now I'm sure that there are lots and lots of people like, we're going to do Mukbang too, but you're not going to beat her. She's way ahead of the game. She's in charge. I love it. We learned about, what's that seafood thing called? Seafood boils.
Yay! Seafood boils. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So delicious.
So we got it.
Please make Gareth try one. Mbulelo,
No, it's not my thing here. It sounds
I've had
like
it, Gareth.
yeah.
It's horrendous. The Americans,
I'll give it a
Americans don't know
skip.
food. The Americans don't know food. Don't follow me.
No, not my favorite thing. So Mbulelo started a bit of a thing this morning by talking about these pool parties, and hey, I'm I'm really excited to think about this stuff because summer's just around the corner. Christmas isn't that far away. I mean, so what, 3.5 months from now we'll be doing that stuff.
Shout out!
And you
Jesus.
know what happens? Yeah, they put out those Christmas decorations now, Mbulelo. You're going to walk to the stores soon,
sick.
and you're going to hear the music. You're going to see the tin. I'm telling you, it's coming.
I'm sick already.
When you see that big tree in the mall.
But let's just focus for a second on this summer idea. I like the idea of pool parties. I like the idea of people having fun again, being outside, not all this cold, shitty stuff that we've been through. So here are a couple of things. First of all, we've got this from Dogozo. Says, please will you explain what Yuppies and Yentas are, Mbulelo? You can go ahead. I haven't been keeping up with the lingo these days. It's hardly these days lingo. This is old school lingo. So Yuppies. Yuppies are things that existed. I remember when I was in primary school, my parents would talk about yuppies. They were young, up-and-coming professionals or something. It was a very American term, right?
Yeah, so it would be, so the yuppies would be, if you're imagining it through the American lens, the Harvard kid who's got the BMW, who's just finished doing his MBA, and they hang out at the country club and they live that life. They got the horse, they got the, they got the holiday. They go to what's it? Like in New England, they go to the countryside. That's where that real yuppie vibe is. That East Coast Brown University. You know what I mean? So that's that's what real yuppies are. And we've got those.
How do you understand Yenta?
Now, Yentas, that's going to happen. A lot of them in my road. Got one in particular. She's fantastic.
Why do you say
unbelievable.
Yenta?
Every day, 5:30, she's out there and cooking on the road. Hi, Mbulelo, you're right. I said, how's it, Gladys?
Mbulelo.
I said,
what area do you live in?
How you, Gladys? How you doing?
Who is this lady?
How you doing, Gladys?
The only yuppie I know is a plus yuppie. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what a plus yuppie is.
Plus yuppie is something that's totally different. Yeah, that's like a
boy.
Right. Yeah, Afrikaans dude from the farm. Yeah.
No.
Thanks for emphasizing on Afrikaans. I don't want to say it.
Well, it has to be. So, all right. You know how I understood Yenta? A Yenta is someone who sits at Tasha's in Morningside and just gossips about other people. That's what a Yenta is. To me.
Generally
Who came up with this lingo?
So Yenta comes from Yiddish. So it's it's the language that many of the Jews in Eastern Europe used to speak, and there's quite a lot of Yiddish spoken in South Africa in the Jewish community. But Yenta is like a gossiping old busybody. It's like one of those women who knows all the stories of what's going on in the community, and she talks about everybody's husbands, and she knows who's having an affair with who, and she wonders about this one's income, and she's concerned about that one's child because they've started taking drugs, and it's one of those kind of people.
That's Gladys. That's Gladys.
So what does Gladys say to you when you bump into her on your street?
We'll have a little bit of a catch up. Yeah.
How does she talk? How does she talk?
Yeah.
Go on,
No, let's because hi you, and I tell you something is there's a new guy on my road. His car's so loud. But anyway, what do you think of my new shoes? What do you think of my new shoes? I say, Gladys, they're unbelievable. You look great. And she's out there. She's moving and grooving, and no reason to be 70 plus and not doing it.
Does she power walk?
Oh yeah, no, she's I would say 65 and upwards. But energetic. Right. She's moving it, but definitely, I mean, this hill, it's killing me. But there's no reason not to stay young. You know what I mean? It's just,
you live in the widest neighborhood ever. Oh my gosh.
Yes, definitely. He really does.
That's so safe.
Lots of other people talking about this. Just quickly, listen to this. So, first of all, I was about to offer that Mbulelo could come and swim in my pool. This is Beth. She says, but then I realized I live in the south and Mbulelo will never travel here. Yeah,
not a chance.
I also live in
the money in the world.
Wait a minute.
Not for
south.
Any money in the world.
What's wrong with the south? I'm from the south.
No, listen, let me tell you something.
100,000 subscribers and 7 million views.
Right. Tell him.
Definitely.
Yeah, let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with the south, but it doesn't mean I have to go there. So if you're fine in the south,
where do you
stay
stay?
there.
Where do you stay?
No, that's not
in
important.
The north. Always doesn't count. Doesn't count. If you stay in Four Ways, that's its own city on its own. That's Four Ways. And then there's people who like Gareth who stay in the north, like Brian's High Park. Four Ways doesn't count.
Did I not just tell you in my road there's a 65-year-old who walks alone? How could I be living in Four Ways? Come on, have some respect.
What kind of Four Ways to me is populated in there?
All right, hold on. I'm just so you know, because you don't know Mbulelo at all, even if we know you, Naledi. Mbulelo's got a huge superiority complex. He believes not in going anywhere outside of the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. He believes like Eastgate is way too far east. The Dome is way too far west. And he never goes beyond the CBD south.
No. I don't go past. Listen, I used to live on that road. You know where St. John's College is? That's Houghton Drive.
Yes.
That's the limit. I'm not going past there. Anywhere past there, nyap. No. You can courier stuff. I can courier stuff in. No.
Wow. As someone from the south, I don't know whether to feel offended or to kind of agree with you because, we are far. We're far. But there's so much potential in the south. We have all of the south and we have Goldrift City. Something you guys don't have.
No, that's
there we go.
We don't like our water. We don't like our water being infected. Gold mines actually seep into the water.
And we don't like being in traffic that takes 4 hours a day. But I guess if William Nickel makes you happy, then go ahead, eh? You guys literally never have lights and robots. And every day for you going to work feels like a journey to Durban. But go ahead. If it makes you happy leaving the house at 5 o'clock to get to work at 9, good.
I used to have a girlfriend. I used to have a girlfriend in the south. She was so far in the south it was Alberton, and I never used to go there. No, I never went. She used to meet me halfway.
I live in Alberton.
See, I knew that. Yeah. I used to make her meet me halfway. I never went to Alberton.
How did you meet someone from Alberton, Gareth? What happened?
No, she like anyone who's is decent. She used to come to the northern suburbs for social occasions and So look at the looks we're getting from that.
In love with her, and then you fell in love with her. What does that say? Alberton girls are gems, gemstones, rubies, and sapphires.
I know some lovely people from Alberton, but that doesn't mean I have to go there to find them or to meet them or to see them. They must come to our side.
I'm shocked that you know lovely people from Alberton. I'm stuck on that.
I do. I know some nice people from Alberton. We've just met. We're just meeting Naledi now. What kind of a thing is that to say?
She could be an anomaly.
What is that?
There's an anomaly in everything.
How rude! How rude! I think that's very rude. What about her friends and family who? Yeah, come on.
And they live in Alberton. I
don't know your friends and family. What must I do now?
Careful.
Also,
you see what she's doing with her eyes? You see what she's doing with her eyes? She's checking you out. She's going to take out a hit on you soon if you don't shut up.
I'm not going to the south. I'm not going to the south.
All right. I want to go back. I want to go back to the pool parties. So Sindile says, "Yep, black people pool parties. We don't swim. The pool is just a feature." And then
Swag.
This is a good one. apparently, the worst kinds of things, according to some people, is that you don't want to go anywhere where there's a pool with rock features and a lapa. That is apparently no good. That's when you're at the wrong kind of pool party. According to Tracy, no rock pools with a thatched roof lapa.
You know what happens there? That's like new money. They don't know what to do with that. Like they started selling generators when Eskom started crashing, so they got that big money, and then they start like spending their money on things like.
My boyfriend had a pool with rocks and laperish kind of. What are you guys even? You know what? You guys have been taking shots at me for the past 10 minutes now. Okay, no. I'm gonna take shots at you guys, and it's not gonna be funny. Mbulelo, tread carefully.
Mbulelo. I love it.
Naledi, that's why you dumped him. That's why you dumped him, though. You're showing potential because you're like, rock pool, that's not going to work long term. I need to get out of here. So shout out to you that you're already, considering you're from Alberton, making those moves.
Jim says the best thing that comes out of the south is the M1 North.
I'm ready to fight, guys. No, now I want to fight.
God.
You know what? Somebody open the ring. Yeah, what Casper said to AK and everybody. Somebody open a ring. Book up a ring right now. I'll fight all of you. Okay? Let's know.
So listen to this. Our guest star this morning, Naledi, Dogos was obviously a big fan of yours. He says Naledi vlogged a trip to Durban this one time and went to a party on the wrong side of the Mugeni River and then dissed it. The right people don't party there anymore. Sure.
A bit of a hypocrite there, Naledi. So
that's called influence.
That's nice. The
Gareth Club show sauce.
I love this. You must come back. I'm already I'm totally in this. All right. Jean says, imagine Mbulelo in Eldorado Park. Lol. I don't think it's going to happen. To be serious.
Steal his shoes.
No, it's not.
Let's be honest, says Alex. Nobody says one day I want to live in Winchester Hills.
Do you know how very Bridgerton that sounds? Winchester. Duke of Hastings. What's wrong with Winchester Hills? It's in the hills.
So you watched Devil's Dorp, and you've obviously watched. I've never seen Bridgerton. Is this worth watching? Is it something that you think we'd like, or I don't know? I mean, I've heard
Gareth,
good stories.
You know I don't know anymore. You don't know seafood boil. We've been learning about mukbangs. Bridgerton is amazing. It's like a beautiful love story about this lady who falls in love with the Duke of Hastings, and the Duke doesn't want to fall in love. And then he also doesn't want to do that thing where two adults have, that thing that we shall not say, and then he doesn't.
The beast with two
want to make. Right? He doesn't want to make the birds and the bees inside of her, and he keeps lying to. It's brilliant. Just watch it. It's just too much for one. But it's a beautiful love story by Shonda Rhimes. Anything by Shonda Rhimes is perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty much TV genius there. Okay, Robin says hot tub with a lapa, no go.
Scum. The lapa. Oh. Who said that, Robin?
You guys already dissed us about not knowing how to swim. The least we could do is get a hot tub. It's hot.
Scum.
A hot tub. The above ground hot tub in the Lapa. New money. I started selling generators when Eskom crashed. No.
Oh my God.
Only jacuzzi. In the ground jacuzzi if we're doing it, pal. And no Lapa. The Lapa with the thatch thing. That's got to go. That's not the kind of house party I want to be at.
Don't give you the wrong name. Do you have a second name? Like a back then name? Do you have that name? Like when they don't call you Mbulelo, what's your other name?
Kayalet is my name. I have a show called
Kayalet.
Yeah.
I find nothing wrong with a hot tub and a lapa. I mean, not for me though. Not for me. Y'all be easy. But I see nothing wrong with it. What's wrong with a hot tub?
In the South, that scores you points to have hot tub and lapa. Great, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm coming for you guys.
We
still have about 40 more minutes, and now I'm coming for the both of you.
Well, speaking of the next 40 minutes or so, we've got some quite interesting stuff to get into, and I do want to talk about some of the stuff that's happening in the news, because this Afghanistan situation is pretty damn awful, and it's very embarrassing for America, no matter whose side you're on. If you're Joe Biden fan or you're a fan of Donald Trump or anyone else. This is just such a mess for America. And I can't believe that we're having this conversation again 25 years later, 20 years later. It feels to me like nothing has changed there's so many women in Afghanistan who up to a short while ago were actually allowed to walk around with their faces uncovered. I mean, they were able to go out and learn to read, learn to write. Now that's going to be banned again because the Taliban don't like women learning. Of course, it's a big threat to them. Who knows whether this is going to go back to the same kind of thing that it was, in the early 2000s when the Taliban were overthrown, or whether it's going to be even worse. I mean, I'd like to think it would be a bit better, but it's very, very scary to me. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on, but we've got way more important things to get to, like hot tubs and swimming. Cindy says, well, first of all, Beth says, I don't have a hot tub because my kids would turn it into urinal. Yeah, that's
urinal.
Yeah. And Jean says this is an interesting point. Like property in South Africa, you can sell a property much more easily if you do have a lapa. So it's not. It's only you and me.
You know why?
It's only you and me.
Because Afrikaans people love braaiing where lapas are involved. So I'm really surprised to hear this coming from you guys. Okay, like it's really funny. Wherever there's lapas, there is a couple of white guys braaiing in khaki shorts and like knee-high socks. So it's really amazing to me.
So B of all B says Naledi lives in the south but didn't know that Sun City is a prison there. She's an anomaly. Yeah.
Look, I really the only Sun City I knew, I was an innocent child. Sun City was the resort. Next minute you hear, the older you become, you hear your friends are in Sun City. You're like, oh, okay, the Rustenburg. No, the jail. Guys, I'm an innocent child. I'm not in jail.
But you see, that would also mostly happen in the South. This is where people develop a complex about the South, you see, because that's exactly the kind of story that comes out of there. Can we just talk about these jacuzzis for a second? So I remember a friend of mine had a big bachelor's party, and what he did is he bought 2 of these inflatable jacuzzis, all right? And they're the kind that you can completely, it blows itself up, you connect it to the power, then you fill it up with water, and then it switches on and it warms up, and it's like like the ones that are built in, but of course it's easier to clean, and you could put it away when you don't have to blow it up. So he bought them, and he paid, I don't know, 13 grand each for them, so they were quite expensive. Anyway, the one he didn't even use at the bachelor's party. It was still in the box. And he said to me, do you want it? And I thought, I'll buy it. How much? So he gave it to me for like 8 or 9 grand. So I thought, all right, I've got it. I've used it maybe twice. And it's a bit of a pain in the backside to open up, to put back in the box, to clean. But I feel like that is a little bit more hygienic and healthy than the ones that are built in, because you don't know what's going on behind those concrete walls and the pipes and the things underground. And did I waste my money? Because I haven't used it this year at all. I wasted my money.
No, you didn't waste your money. Of course you didn't, guys. You were just making it. Yes. I mean, you bought a whole blow-up jacuzzi. That's like...
Well, he also needed the money. Listen, I'm telling you the story because I've never had a jacuzzi. I never wanted one. But I thought that this was a good time to buy one. The thing was up for a good price. I thought I'd probably use it a lot more than I have used it. And I thought it would be a fun thing to have at a party. But obviously, it was a total waste. Total waste.
You made the classic mistake. Listen, a mentor of mine once said, let me just tell you, you made a classic mistake. A jacuzzi is not a fun thing. It's not a relationship or a girlfriend. You don't just get it just to see how it goes. When you get a jacuzzi, if you have to ask how much it costs and the maintenance costs are going to scare you, don't get it. Because what you need to do is get the very top end, right? Yeah. Where the guys come in, do it properly, seal it so that all of the concerns you have don't happen to your pool. I know exactly what you're talking about, where it gets like filmy and, I know exactly what you're talking about, but that's those cheap ones, which is why I don't want to go to any parties that are outside of Hyde Park and Bryanston, because they have the real thing. I know what your concerns are. Build your jacuzzi into the ground, and spend some top dollar. I do not have that kind of money. Please,
Mbulelo,
will anybody
would
with
you
that kind of house invite me?
assume- Can one assume you like pools because maybe like you may not bathe as often as you want to, and swimming is just a good way to really clean up. You know, I was reading another article with Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, I think, if they're still together,
Oh,
and they were like,
I heard about this.
They don't bathe their kids unless they're actually dirty and it's necessary. And I'm starting to think that's why he might like swimming. I don't know. Could it be?
Let's just explain this for a second, because this is a whole new thing. This is a new kind. This is a new kind of
It's
privilege,
not
if you
that
ask me. No, well, the idea that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they put out this statement, like anyone asked, or maybe someone did ask them. I don't know how it came out. Anyway, that they don't wash their kids unless their kids are actually covered in filth, because they reckon it's bad for their skins and you shouldn't have to wash too many times. And I mean, this is just unbelievable that we're even talking about this. Is crazy, because they're not our children. It's not our problem. But I need to understand, why would somebody make a thing about not washing their children? Are they trying to sound interesting? What's this all about? Seriously.
Celebrities.
What? No. This is not a celebrity thing. This is a white people thing. Please. Like, no. Let's all take a step back. No. I don't know if it's a celebrity thing, but I can safely say I've had a few friends from high school that I knew that didn't really like taking a shower or a bath, or they would come to school without really having taken a shower or a bath. And I mean, you know, a lot of my friends back at school used to have pets, so you could see like a lot of like the
pet hair.
Yeah. And they literally only believed in taking a shower in the evening because that's after a long day, and then they would just brush their teeth in the morning and put like obviously roll on and go to school. So I was like,
are you a one shower in the morning a day person, or are you a 2 shower a day person? What's your story?
I'm a 1 shower a day person. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a 1 shower a day person. I don't know. Wait. Why is everyone looking at me like that? What is going on here? How many showers is a person supposed to take?
I'm not sure. I think it's meant to be, you know.
Wait a minute. No.
What kind of gross monster are you? Listen. Just stop everything. You wake up. You are going to be interacting with other human beings. Have some respect for yourself. You shower before you enter the world. Then before you enter, obviously, I don't know what kind of life people are living, but before you get into your bed, have some respect for yourself. You take a shower, because I know everybody thinks, no, but I'm kind of clean. No, you're not. Human skin is constantly shedding. You've been sweating all day. Respect your bedding. And also hygienically, you don't want to be, you don't, unless you wash your sheets every day. If you're constantly kind of moving around with your sweaty, disgusting body at night in your sheets.
I don't sweat the way you do. Just because you're walking around constantly beating your chest and getting sweaty, I'm a girl, remember? Hi, Naledi, female, she, her, pronouns.
I love it.
So I don't sweat like the average man. I don't go around just sweating, but I hear your point.
Listen, there is some sense to what both of you are saying. Like I'm always erring on the side of clean because I've got a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. But what you're pointing out here, and maybe what Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are saying, I'm not saying that you agree with them, but maybe what they're saying is, like, it's actually quite bad for your skin to overwash. Like you become, it gets very dry, very ashy. You will have skin problems as a result of overwashing. You know, you can't be clean every single second of the day. It's impossible. First of all, as you say, Mbulelo, you're always shedding skin anywhere. There are natural oils that are produced that are necessary to keep the skin healthy. And if you're washing all the time, it's probably bad for you.
100%.
True, but please just shower at least once a day. I agree with you to a certain extent, you know. A cousin of mine once told me when I was really young, I used to put lots of Colgate on my toothbrush. I don't know how real this is, but he was like, if you put too much toothpaste on your teeth will start to erode after some time.
Oh my God.
And I was like, is that why people have yellow teeth and don't brush their teeth that much? Apparently, I don't know.
It looks like you got pretty damn awesome teeth. I'd rather take your advice than this friend of yours.
Well
I mean,
said.
it's braces. It's definitely my orthodontist. I'll pass you his number. But
well, whatever
I
you're
think
doing,
we
keep
should shower.
All right. Well, I think let's all have a shower later after the show this morning.
Yeah,
But before we get to
Okay.
that, couple of things we have to get to, and we're going to talk to someone called Carel Snyman just now about BMW, which I know is something everybody wants to know about. But we'll get to that in a second. We're also going to talk about electric vehicles and all kinds of other interesting things. But first, what do boats, diffusion, and breakfast have to do with culture? Well, according to King Price's culture expert, Manu Bosov, they have a lot to do with each other. King Price has got a brand new podcast out called A Word from the King, where they explore many facets of workplace culture from the perspective of King Price and their one-of-a-kind culture model. Learn how to balance culture and strategy, make the switch from have to want to, and intentionally design a company culture that inspires and motivates everyone who walks through the doors. And there are 7 episodes of this. They're all available right now on Cliff Central platforms, or you can find them on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So I want to talk a little bit about the future of driving, and we're going to talk to a man who is an expert in electric vehicles and solar energy. And in 1988, this man joined the National Energy Council, which was a government agency forum to research alternative transport energy. He was so far ahead of everybody else. And if we just listened to him back then, who knows how much of an advanced society we could live in. We could be in flying cars by now if we just opened up our ears and listened to Carel all those years ago. So he's going to join us this morning to talk a little bit about electric vehicle technologies and how we evaluate them and how they can be used more effectively and what they can do for us. And he's joining us as part of our discussion around BMW's Drive Tomorrow Today campaign. And Carel, it's a great pleasure to see you and to have you on the show this morning. And welcome to you. Thanks for joining me and Naledi and Mbulelo this morning. It's true, you were doing this in 1988. You were looking at alternative energy for transport. That's an incredible story. You've been paying attention for much longer than we have.
Yeah, that's when it started. And thank you for those kind words. It's very nice to hear them. I wish you could repeat them sometime. But anyway,
I promise you I will. I'm just pleased to meet people who are this far ahead of the curve. So let's just go through your story quickly, because you were in this NEC, the National Energy Council, for a long time, and then they eventually closed their doors in 1992. You worked at Eskom for a little bit. You directed the electric transport program and converted 12 different kinds of vehicles to electric propulsion. And one of them was a game viewing vehicle that is still used in the Kruger National Park. This initiative ended in 2002 when the oil price fell to $12 a barrel. And obviously that made it very difficult for you to argue for electric vehicles because, fuel was cheaper. In 2013, you joined Naledi as a general manager of the Cleaner Mobility Program. And today you're consulting and you're still following your passion in electric vehicles and solar energy. Is that a fair summary of your incredible and varied career?
Yeah, thank you very much. I had a very interesting career, and I'm very happy for companies like Eskom that made it possible for me to do these evaluations that we did and also converted the vehicles to electric. I just got to correct you in one thing. The game being vehicle is not with the Kruger National Park anymore. It's been at the Leopard Sanctuary and other places, but today it's out of work. It doesn't work anymore. So, well, I guess if you put batteries in it, you can still get it to run, but it's not operational in any game park, unfortunately.
So you've been in this game a long time. Before electric vehicles, EVs, we call them now, were even known as EVs. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of electric vehicles, especially from your point of view, where you know way more than we do?
Wow, yeah. Electric vehicles started way back in the 18s. The first vehicles were produced, and after that, they were actually leading early in the 1900s, before the internal combustion engine vehicles became commonplace because of the longer range they had and the invention of the electric starter that made it easier to crank these vehicles and easier to use them. So that's about when electric vehicles lost popularity. Just got to mention in 1901, the world speed record, land speed record, was set by a French guy in an electric vehicle, and that was 101 kilometers an hour at that time. So they were around for many years.
In those days, there was nothing else that was as fast as that, right?
No, nothing else. That was the speed record. But of course,
So in some ways, in some ways, electric vehicles are actually not just they didn't just precede the ICE vehicles that we talk about today, the internal combustion engine vehicles, but they were
energy for mobility, as we call it, in vehicles and other places. And then I realized South Africa is actually well positioned to get great benefits from electric vehicles. We only have one time zone, and overnight, in those days at least, we had the cheapest electricity price. And we had nobody buying electricity between the evening peak and the next morning peak. And that big amount of energy that is available then could keep 6 million vehicles traveling the next day, 50 kilometers each. So with the cheapest electricity, you don't have to import crude oil anymore. If we change our fleet to electric vehicles, we'd save a heck of a lot of money. Today, I mean, we buy this oil for about $14 billion and convert that into petrol and diesel, use it in our vehicles. And that's the same amount of money that we earn by exporting all our minerals. So it doesn't make business sense for South Africa to do that if we have all this electricity. And I mean, if you want to really make the electricity clean, if you go to solar, we have twice the radiation of solar energy in South Africa that they have in Germany. So we have double the benefit.
You've done all these cost breakdowns and these analyses, and I'm curious about how you would compare the running costs of an electric vehicle and a car with similar power at a similar price in the ICE model.
Well, if you consider the energy that an internal combustion engine car uses, the car is about 15% efficient. That means in terms of beers, 1.5. That means in terms of beers, you want to drink one, but you got to buy 5 and throw 4 away.
That's an incredible comparison. Wow, what a waste of money.
That's what you're doing there. So the electric car is much more efficient, close to 85% more efficient. So it uses 6 times less energy to do the same work than you would with an internal combustion engine car. So I use about 11.7 kilowatt hours to travel 100 kilometers, say 12. So that'll cost me 20 rands. Now a similar car, petrol car, I had one would consume about 8 liters 100 kilometers, and that'll cost me today 136 rands. So 20 compared to 136 is a saving of 20,000 rand every year. It's a massive difference.
Now, when it comes to actually driving that car, is there any difference to you? Because you've driven both, so you can compare them, apples and apples. What do you make of that?
Look, it's the same thing. It's got 4 wheels. It's got a shell that protects you against the weather, a nice comfortable seat, the steering wheel, all those other things. But the technology is completely different. I mean, inside the engine, for instance, is not an internal combustion engine. There's no explosions in the engine. The engine does not require oil or water or things like that. If you can imagine, your fridge has got an AC induction motor powering your fridge. Now, it's a very similar type of motor that powers your electric car. It's not exactly the same motor, and the motor is bigger, of course. But how often do you take your fridge to a service? What kind of maintenance do you need? There's almost nothing. So the electric motor in an electric car needs no maintenance, and it's quiet. So when you get into the car and you switch on, there's only lights coming on. And they've added some sounds to the lights, pleasant sounds, so that you get a pleasant feeling when you switch on the car. In your internal combustion engine car, also the lights do come on. Not as many nice, but anyway, lights come on. But you hear suddenly the explosions in the engine.
Yeah.
And I'm exaggerating, but I mean, it's really what's happening in your car. I mean,
well, some of us. I mean, let me just bring in, a little bit of the petrol head in everybody, is that we sometimes like a little bit of that sound. And I'm always concerned when I hear how quiet these electric vehicles are. Some of them are so silent that you can you can whisper around them and you'll be absolutely fine. You can hear each other speak over the engine no matter what. I'm worried that like kids crossing the road won't even hear them when they cross the road. They've had to start making noises just to alert people to the fact that the electric vehicle's even there.
Yeah, and if you're a real petrol head, you can add the sound of a Harley Davidson to your electric car, no problem.
That's probably true. So
what about that,
You have?
No, people have done that.
Oh, I thought you had.
You can choose the sound. No, I haven't. I love the silent. And really, in a city when everybody is driving electric, you will hear the road noise. and people will adjust. It's not a problem.
And you can also obviously hear if something else is going on, which is quite helpful. Whereas if you're in a car and all you hear is your own engine, you can't hear a damn thing outside of that. So there is
Can you imagine the sound system in your car not being interrupted by this?
What about the big issue that many people have about electric vehicles? And it comes up time and time again that the biggest concern they have is range anxiety. Where people are worried that they're going to run out of electricity and their car's just going to stop on the side of the road. And that's the end of it. I mean, I've sometimes, even though I drive a diesel vehicle at the moment, I've sometimes looked at that petrol gauge and thought, oh my God, I'm not even going to make it home because I've forgotten to fill up with diesel. Now, it's the same kind of thing with an electric vehicle. You wouldn't forget to fill up completely. And if you do, that's on you. That's not the vehicle's fault.
Yeah. No, the range anxiety really exists with people that do not drive electric, or the first drivers, the people that just started driving electric. But you learn to plan very quickly. The first vehicle that I had when I was still at Eskom was an old Corsa Bakkie that we converted to electric. Yeah. And I used that vehicle as my first choice commute, And I only had a range of about 80 kilometers because we were using lead acid batteries at the time. And I never got stuck. Really, and I had all kinds of plans that I made. In those days, you didn't have infrastructure, of course. So I had a long lead that I plugged in where I played action cricket or whatever meetings. I plugged in every time I stopped somewhere. I plugged in because, I was traveling around Pretoria, Johannesburg area, and that becomes quite a problem if you don't have the range. But,
Carel, how good are our batteries these days in EVs?
Well, the batteries are excellent. The latest news from Tesla, they say that after 200,000 kilometers, their batteries have lost 10% capacity. Now, that is excellent. Not every electric vehicle battery is on that par with that already, on that level, but they are getting there. And there's other technologies that people are working on now as well that'll make the battery so much better. Batteries are in the infancy, the new ones that we're talking about.
So we have challenges with our power grid in this country, and you've mentioned Eskom a few times. Does that impact on your overall enjoyment of the EV experience? Do you think that it's something that we should be concerned about long term? No,
I don't think so. I think the way we generate energy will change in the long term. It's not going to be just Eskom. I'm independent from Eskom. I don't use Eskom power for my home. I don't use Eskom power for my car. I've got solar cells on my roof, and I charge my car every day from those solar panels. If I do need a fast charge, if I travel longer distances, and I've been traveling around the whole day, for instance, I could pop into a BMW dealership and charge my car for free at a fast charger. So I haven't spent more than half an hour there to charge my car. And maybe at some places you can pop into the dealership and you get a cup of coffee and you relax a bit, and then you get back to the car and it's fully charged, no problem. But in terms of Eskom, if we in South Africa had a fleet of electric vehicles, at least say 2 million electric vehicles, and say Eskom charge the batteries for these cars overnight, and you can fill that valley overnight between the evening peak and the next morning peak, then Eskom can sell every kilowatt hour they produce, and that enables them then to become more efficient in terms of producing electricity, and they can reduce the price of electricity again. So if you sell every product you make, they can't switch off the big power stations every night. They got to lie idle.
Yeah, got to keep them going.
They're still keeping them going. Yeah, so it still consumes coal and all that, but nobody's buying electricity. It's like an open tap. The water is falling on the ground. If you had electric vehicles, it could collect this water falling on the ground, all the kilowatt hours, and at a low price, you can incentivize people to charge overnight, and then you can sell this electricity as well. Become more efficient, sell electricity that you're not able to sell today. Now I know Eskom power stations are not that reliable nowadays because they're very old. But Eskom is also now. Eskom is also now transitioning into different sources of energy. Komatipoort is a new station that they will turn into.
You mentioned the BMW charging stations, and I thought that was a really good. I didn't know until we spoke to the CEO the other day how many of these charging stations they've got across South Africa, and they're building an incredible infrastructure that will enable just about anybody to charge anywhere for free. And you don't even, what a pleasure that would be, because then we don't really care. But you're obviously a big fan of renewable energy in any which way. What's the furthest you've ever been in an electric vehicle?
I think I've done about 220 kilometers in one day. I've driven to Vereeniging from here and back. And that is possible to do. I mean, in the beginning, if it's your first drive, you take it easy. You don't go 120 kilometers an hour. You go a little bit less.
Sure.
You try and keep it at 100 because you're fighting air resistance. And higher your speed, that increases quadratically. So you got to think about driving efficiently. And I've, over the years, especially with a range of when you only have 80 kilometers, you learn how to drive very efficiently. Now I have a nice range. I mean, the BMW can give me, if I am really careful, I can get up to 300 kilometers.
Amazing. Well, Carel, thank you. We wanted to speak to someone who's independent about this to give us the inside track. You've been doing it for such a long time. You live this story. You don't just talk about it. You're a real fan of electric vehicles and of alternative transport using ways and means that we should be considering more and more. Just one last thing. Do you see South Africa, and in fact the rest of the world, I mean, there are parts of the world that are already moving very fast in this direction. Do you see South Africa turning into a much more energy efficient place soon? And do you see more and more transport changing to electric vehicles in the short term, medium term, and long term? What's your projection?
Well, I do hope so. I mean, some of these things are controlled by government, and sometimes that is not clear exactly what the direction is. And we've been waiting a long time for them to allow more renewable energy to enter the mix of energy supply in South Africa. And there's been some resistance to that change. I'm not quite sure why. We can all speculate about these things. There's got some quite interesting conspiracy theories and stories out there. We had this gas ships, and we had the nuclear debate and all these sort of things. But because we have such a wonderful amount of potential renewable energy in South Africa, we would be stupid not to follow that route. And I do believe there is some change, some positivities around that now. And I do believe we can become a leader regarding renewable energy, not just in Africa, but in the world. But we have to put our minds to it and start doing the job.
Well, thank goodness we got people like you paying attention to these things. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. Great talking to you.
Thank you. There he is. That's Carel Snyman, who is an electric vehicle and solar energy consultant and expert. What a pleasure to speak to him this morning and find out a little bit about that stuff. It's part of what we're going to be bringing you as BMW make electric vehicles more well-known to all of us, and they start to roll out some really cool and interesting models too. If you missed last week's conversation with the CEO, you want to hear that because they've got big plans. And we'll be talking to some people over the course of the next coming few weeks to try and get us all up to speed so we know what's going on in the world of electric vehicles, and we can pay more attention and make more interesting decisions and more nuanced decisions around what is available. So electric vehicles and solar energy, among other things, discussed today, and plenty more on the way. That's part of BMW's Drive Tomorrow Today campaign, cliffcentral.com. It is 12 minutes to 8. I've still got Mbulelo and Naledi here with us. And it's been really fun hanging with you, Naledi. You've woken a whole bunch of people up. Lots of people saying that this show is alive this morning because of you. So you've made all the right impact. People are enjoying having you here.
So glad to hear that. I'm actually having a great time. So
no, it's lovely.
And then say quickly before we move off, Carel sounds like a human being I would love to be best mates with. The word efficiency was used so many times.
Yeah, you love that.
That's in his personal life. That's all the time. He's not wasting time. He's not wasting.
Right,
man. Carel, shout out to that. Definitely.
So we were talking the other day on the show about people who have lots and lots of money. Look at this quickly. There's some sheikh in the Middle East who flew all of his falcons from one place to another in a look at this, in a plane. They were all these are all falcons. These are his birds, and on the one side are all the handlers, and on the other side is just all of these birds. They're tethered to little, I suppose, harnesses, and they've got their little hoods on, which protect them because then they can't really see what's going on around them, so they calm down. And this is what really rich people do: is they hire a 747 just to transport their falcons. That's how you know you're really wealthy.
You ever seen what those falcons can do?
They're amazing.
No, they are absolutely incredible. It is the royal sport of
What
the
can they do?
Emiratis. It's an extreme.
Oh, really?
I mean, oh yeah, no, it's a royal.
So they're not like
royal
those
sport.
Hogwarts pigeons that carry letters and they take them down to the house.
Pigeons and owls.
Bring them to school.
No.
Yeah.
These things are okay. So these are probably mostly peregrine falcons. They're the fastest birds in the sky. They can stoop. They call it a stoop. They can rush down towards the earth at speeds that are just absolutely incomprehensible to humans. Like we can't move that fast if we try. And they can see everything. They've got amazing eyesight. They can find prey. They can spot their owner handler and land on their arm from like a mile up in the sky. They're absolutely incredible animals. 300 k's an hour or something.
So why have so many of them? What
because
did you do with them?
Because you're rich and you want to make your friends feel poor. You just get way more falcons than they can have, and you're like, I'm the king of the UAE, or I'm the sultan of this, or I'm the sheikh of this. So I'm just going to prove that I'm richer than you by having a whole lot more falcons than you.
So like what we do with cars.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, or with a LARPer. That's it. South Africans, instead of having falcons, we have a LARPer. Unbelievable. It's ridiculous, right? We've been very mean about people and their LARPers and things this morning. I think we need to apologize while we still have time.
No chance.
Yeah,
keep it in the south.
Mbulelo, go ahead.
No chance.
What?
Absolutely no chance.
What?
Keep it in the south. Keep it in the east. Keep it in the west. Like, you know what? Having said this, this is a good time for me to get out some family drama. So, obviously, born working class, my aunt moves into Eagle Canyon. What's the first thing she does? Builds a LARPer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not visiting there. There's those tendencies. No chance.
So, because there's a LARPer. And besides,
No.
it's the West. It's the West.
Yeah.
Why would you go there, right?
So you have a
should tell
problem
your
with
aunt to move.
Hold on a second. You have a problem with the West, Naledi. Mbulelo has a problem with the East, West, and South. You guys, this is such. There are levels of superiority and inferiority going on here that are just incomprehensible. This is wild.
Being from the South has taught me to appreciate other parts of Johannesburg. So, like, appreciate the West. I can't hate the West. My school is based in the West. I can't hate the North because I have to work with the likes of Mbulelo in the North. So, you know, I learned to appreciate the likes of everything. And then I go to Bedford View to just imagine what my life is going to be like 10 years from now when I'm like a rich, like, housewife with 2 kids and a nice Porsche. So
I like this.
To learning about this.
All right. Know? So you want to end up in the East?
Yeah.
Definitely Bedford View.
Okay. So you went to school in the West, currently in the South, moving to the East. Mbulelo says that's still a waste of time, right? Because you'll still be in the East.
Mbulelo's wearing a bandana as a scarf.
That's not true. This is a buff. This is a buff for when I'm snowboarding. No. It's a buff for when I'm snowboarding.
Yeah, that's what,
I'm not a gangster. I live in the North.
Used to wear with like when he sang "I'm Real." We're in 2021, but okay. Okay.
But okay.
Just I want to ask you. I want to ask you guys something here. I want to show you a picture of all the health experts, the people in the world who've been telling us over the last 2 years what to do to make sure that we're safe from coronavirus. All right. I'm just going to show you a picture. Some of these people are politicians. In fact, most of them are politicians. There's a guy from Canada, Rob Ford. There's a woman who's the Minister of Health in Belgium. There's the mayor of Chicago. There are a couple of people here. Just take a look at these people. Tell me how healthy you think they look. And then think about whether or not we should be listening to these people for advice on our own health. Okay, you ready? Take a look. These are the people. All right. These are the people who've been telling us how to be healthy through coronavirus. They are among the most unhealthy looking people I've ever seen in my entire life. They all look like they're on death's doorstep. And when are we going to learn that these are hardly the people we should be paying attention to when it comes to health? Not one of them looks like they've got at least 5 days left in them. And yet we've been listening.
Story.
Yes.
Great point. So if I go into a doctor and they are overweight, I immediately walk out and I say, thank you for your services. So absolutely, I'm totally, no, I'm dead serious. And
I
I
walked
did
in.
that.
I walked in.
I did that about 3 weeks ago. I walked in, somebody, said, doctor.
Really?
Walked in there. Yeah, no, what are we doing? Like my old lady doesn't mess around. She, like, I remember walking around with her and she was doing rounds at Limpopo Hospital. And she looked at the nurses. And my mom doesn't play games. Gather them all around and ask them to take a look at themselves and how they look. Like, my mom's not scared to do that. It's like, if you're a health professional, you have to look a certain way. If you're a fat doctor, I don't go to you. And I'm not joking. That I don't play.
What? It's always the fat doctors that know what they're doing, especially if they come from Wits or UP, and especially if they've got that hardcore Afrikaans accent. All they need to do is do this, and they're going to tell you, yo, you've got bronchitis, eh? Arthritis, bronchitis, whatever it is. And you're just like, it's tonsils. It's tonsils. I can feel it, tonsils. Yeah, my doctor for a really long time, Dr. Brugge.
Yeah.
He's probably in his 80s or his 90s right now. But every time I go to that doctor, he just looks at me with his obviously very frail eyes for like 2 seconds. And he's like, yeah, it's bronchitis. Now you've got the new doctors, your Mbulelo, that always want to use their stethoscope and you always want to check if my heart is beating. I mean, it's beating. I'm in your office. You know what I mean? Give me a doctor's note. Let me be on my
way. You reckon that these older doctors, these ones who you think are trustworthy, these guys should have magic powers to assess immediately what's wrong with you?
I feel like they were studying medicine before we were born, okay? The last thing I'm going to do is trust. I'm pretty sure they were. They were in bits in like the 1980s.
All right. But basically you and Mbulelo then are on the same page. He just looks at them and says, okay, this is a healthy or unhealthy person, so I'm going to take advice from them, which is just as stupid as your suggestion of, well, if they're old and they were at UP or at Wits, then you trust them. I mean, both of you should be using the scientific method here. You could be a very unhealthy person, Mbulelo, but you could be very good at helping other people to remain healthy, just purely on a medical basis. It's like, some chefs aren't fat. Some chefs are.
I was literally about to ask, Gareth, do you trust skinny chefs?
Yeah, but I don't really mind, because listen, all I know is that this is a very silly argument to have, because it doesn't really matter to me what people look like, except in the case of those health advisors that I just showed you now, those politicians. Politicians you can judge every time, because it's a different story. I mean, you might have a doctor who was very, very fit and healthy in his or her youth, but then as they get older, they start enjoying life a little bit more. Maybe they have too many pies. That doesn't mean that they're not in a position to tell you if your lung has got an embolism in it.
No, they're not in a position to tell you, Gareth. They're not in a position to tell me.
All right.
I'm fine with you saying that for you, not for me.
Fair enough.
I just feel like, to a certain degree, that's like basically going to like a cookout and expecting where there's obviously Gareth for the chicken to be flavored. Like, it's not realistic. It's not a real thing. So I feel like
nice.
People don't know how
Prejudice.
to use spices, and it has nothing to do with fat or thin. But I love you nonetheless, because you guys can swim. Remember?
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
you guys always say you can't swim.
We're descending into chaos here, but I will say one last thing: is if you meet someone who looks like Naledi, you're dealing with a mukbang professional, and that's the most important part.
A masticator, a professional masticator.
Yeah. Listen, it's been really fun talking to you this morning and having you as a part of the show this morning. So thank you very much, Naledi, and keep up the good work on YouTube. You can go and follow Naledi. Here's a look at her YouTube channel and what it looks like, so you can go and make sure that you go and pay attention. She's got really interesting stuff on there. It's not all mukbang, even though I know that's what most people want to go and see. You can see her doing all of her stories. She vlogs, she tells interesting tales. She's got lots of life stories that she pulls into this, and she's also got some good advice. So thank you very much. And thanks for giving us the free info on how to start our own YouTube channels and become successful on there. Well done to you.
Thank you so much. I think this has been the best morning I've had in a really long time. So thank you so much, Mbulelo. Thank you, Gareth.
Nice to see you. Thank you, Naledi. There you go. She's great. Isn't she awesome?
Yeah, very Fantastic. Cool. Good energy. Good energy.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. And definitely gave you the shit that you should be getting on a daily basis from people. So that's why I enjoyed it.
It was like you got to live vicariously through her.
Absolutely. I didn't even have to. I just got to watch her tear you to pieces on some of your nonsense. I love the flavored chicken under the lapa. That's how we're going to finish this morning with Sean. Flavored chicken under the lapa with a jacuzzi and an electric vehicle charging in the same port.
Above ground
nice.
Jacuzzi.
Yeah, very, very nice. All right, everybody, have a happy day. We will see you tomorrow. cliffcentral.com. Be good. Cheers. Bye-bye.